Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Own Your Choices, Own Your Life. And today's guest is Kristie Shaver. Kristie is somebody that I connected with a few years ago through a network marketing company that we are both part of. But as I say, we connected because I loved her heart and loved how her brain worked and how she thought outside of the box. So when I first decided to put this, my podcast together, Kristie was somebody that I reached out to early and asked if she would be interested in being interviewed. Kristie is a mom, 2 young girls. She completely changed her life over the past couple of years because she made a decision to do so. And it's changed her family's future. It has changed her team's future. And you can see how much she has grown and changed in a matter of a few years. And a lot of it coming down to that she came from a space of owning her own choices and creating her life the way that she wanted to. So she inspires me all the time, and I couldn't wait to dive into this call with her. So thank you so much for joining me today, Kristie.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm honored.
You are more than welcome. So why don't you can even start wherever you'd like. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Sure. You know what? There's so many ways to tell someone's story, right? And I really believe that when someone asks you to tell their story, they start going into all the woe is me, this is what happened to me, right? But there's also a power in that if you've turned it around, right? Mm-hmm. So, when I tell you about my background, I've always had a good life, right? I've always been okay. I've always worked many jobs and had great friends and great family. And I met my husband, and we ended up having a baby. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of stuff that happens when you have a baby that
yes.
books don't tell you necessarily what's going to happen. And I started to experience some things that I wasn't recognizing, and even worse was that I didn't even recognize that something was happening. Right, so I was really struggling inside, and I started to, at 30 years old, sort of like slowly roll down this hill of, oh, this is my life. Oh, I'm exhausted. I'm nobody. I'm never going to do anything. I have no purpose. And I started to almost find myself looking at my husband like, and I never said it, but he's going to be the one who has to take care of me, because I thought I was a nobody. There were so many things that were happening inside here that were not me. And so my background was kind of like that, right? I went from a really cheery, excited person all the time to someone I didn't recognize anymore. And that was kind of how I got to that pivotal moment where I changed my life. So, at that rock bottom moment, I had my lovely husband, and I had my beautiful daughter, Nova, and I was working 3 jobs. So I had no time for anything. So that's kind of my background before, the magic happened.
Yeah. So first off, I love how you mentioned that in there, that I remember very clearly after having my first child, didn't go very smoothly, wasn't very easy. And all of my friends were having kids, and they were talking about how this was the most glorious time of their life. And I'm thinking, what is wrong with me? This is not glorious. I'm not enjoying it. It was a hard time. And nobody wanted to talk about that it was challenging. So I went through a very long period of time where I just assumed there was something wrong with me because I was not loving this space that I was in. So I completely understand that mentality and that feeling. So we also want to touch on too, when you say you're working 3 jobs, you weren't working 3 jobs that were filling you up. Like you weren't working 3 jobs that you loved or that brought light to you or anything like that.
No,
right?
I was working 3 jobs that filled my schedule. That's all it was. And the reason for this was because, I had gone to school. I have a diploma. I've finished college and everything, but I always thought that in order to help people, you had to be a nurse or a doctor. like that was my frame of mind, was that, you know, it was a medical way to help people. And I, like, if you even say medical words around me, I get faint. Like, so I thought, I'm helping nobody. Like, this is, so when I looked at getting jobs, I looked at finding something that would just bring me some income, where I could go to work and I could come home and not be stressed or have to worry about what might have happened or gone wrong or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So my full-time job was being, I was an assistant to a retail store designer. So it was kind of like a receptionist job, and doing some sort of odds and ends. I used to waitress at night after that. And then I was a home-based travel agent as well. I know, right?
Planning travel trips for everyone else, right? So if you're not in a good space, how does that feel when you're planning, you know, vacations for everyone else?
Yeah. You know what? That actually, it hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny to even say that, because travel is a huge passion of mine. I want to show my girls experiences and just sort of like how to be a decent human being, different cultures through travel. And so when I couldn't travel, literally financial reasons why I couldn't travel, that really hurt my soul in a way, right? I felt like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? What am I doing in life? Where am I going? Because I'm not going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So it's true. It was hard to book these beautiful vacations for people. And even like, you know, someone would book a huge honeymoon, and I thought, how do you have money for that? Where is this money coming from, right? Because I was, even working 3 jobs, I was making $33,000 a year.
That's
so I was contributing.
Hours.
I was, yeah, totally. And I was contributing to my family, but not in the way that I wanted to. My husband always, you know, thanked me for what I brought in, and, you know, being able to pay the hydro bill or being able to buy groceries was a big thing, but I wanted more. And I've always had that desire ever since I was little. I used to tell my dad, I'm going to be something huge one day. And he was, you know, like, you know, my dad is adorable. He's the cutest man, but he also was the one who had instilled some of the mindset things about money, right? Mm-hmm. Rich people are snobs, and it's too good to be true, and money doesn't grow on trees, those kind of things. So as much as I love and adore my dad, that is exactly what kind of pulled me down that way, right? So
I think those are all like they're all mentalities and how we grew up, how I think most of us in that time period grew up hearing those things over and over. So that required, so you had to make some different decisions in order to create a change, but you also had to really grow and change your whole mindset to be able to step into a bigger role, right?
Yeah.
You can't just, we can want change for our life, but I think that's one of the hardest things, is realizing that I can't just go from here to here. I have to grow to step into that role. And that's a tough piece for people to see the connection and understand sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's funny too, like when, you know, my whole life, I knew that there was something about me that was going to be great. Mm-hmm. I just didn't know what it was. And that's probably what frustrated me, working jobs that I didn't feel passion, or I didn't feel like I was fulfilled, because there's something inside me that I knew had greatness. I just had no idea where it was going to come out.
So you can probably, and this kind of jumps ahead a little bit, but I bet you can probably look at those periods of time and look at them almost as a blessing to see what, and that is where I think some of the real sign of growth comes from, is when you can look at some very challenging points in your life and say, oh, that absolutely served a purpose. Like it absolutely served a purpose in helping me to get to where I am right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in my family too, like I have a sibling who is always the victim. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of like when I was learning growing up, I always wanted to make sure that I never played that role. I always wanted to be victorious in whatever it was, but it's true, looking back and seeing those things, you know, I was choosing paths that were leading me to something, and I was always open to opportunity. I remember when I used to be a server, I used to treat every table that I served as if they had something to offer me. Not the money or anything like that. I literally treated each one of them as if it was a job opportunity. And I got some pretty cool stuff out of that, like pretty cool jobs and opportunities, but nothing like where I am now.
Well, I think just by what you're saying there and how you describe that, that shows how open you were, and open and believing that there's something more. And you can't be a victim and closed-minded and open to opportunities at the same time. They just don't exist at the same, they can't, it's impossible to exist at the same time. So tell us a little bit about where your life started to really shift and change.
So I had these post-baby imbalances for about 2 years. And I had hit this rock bottom moment. And at that exact moment, like this other door opened. So my daughter was 2 and she couldn't really speak very well at the time. So we were sitting in our living room and she says to me, "Mommy, pretty." And I was like, ugh, because I had thought I was nothing. After having a baby, so much of me was gone. My soul was just like dark. And I started crying because at that moment I thought, what am I teaching my female, like my girl? I'm teaching her that her mom thinks she's fat, that her mom thinks she's worthless and she's going nowhere and she's stupid and she's not worthy of anything. That is exactly what I was teaching her. And so I start crying. And at the same time, my husband says, "You're right. Mommy is beautiful." And I flipped him the bird. And it was like, so because they're both telling me the same things. And to my girl, I'm like heartbroken that I'm teaching her this. And to my husband, I'm thinking, how can you think I'm beautiful? Like, are you blind? I didn't take it as a compliment because I couldn't even see beauty in myself. It was like the saddest moment. And at that exact moment, because I'm like just sobbing, scrolling through Facebook as he's talking to me on the side here, I can't even look at him. And that is when a friend of mine had made some post on her Facebook about something she had been doing. And I am wailing. And my poor husband, we're still married. My poor husband was like, "Why don't you contact her and see what's going on?" Because, you know, after you have a baby and things are so like crazy, I literally thought that my entire being was down because I hadn't lost the last of my baby weight. Like, what?
That was the scale and value that you
That
had given
is
it.
exactly what it was. I was 10 to 15 pounds heavy, and I had gained 75 pounds. So like I did a pretty good job getting rid of it, right? But I thought it was that weight. So I had this friend of mine, Carrie, she had posted her before and after picture. She had done some sort of transformation. And that's when Morgan said, "I want you to call her and order what she's doing. And we are going to make it work." And, you know, from a mom standpoint, I gave everything to my family. I still do, but I was the last one to eat. I was the last one to get anything. If I needed to go to a wedding and I didn't have a dress, I wouldn't buy one. I would buy diapers instead. Why would I? You know, everything about me was last. So for me to say yes to an opportunity or a change for myself was very hard, but it was like a desperate moment. So I had, and this is the network marketing company that I am so proud to be a part of, that you're a part of as well. Yep. But the funny thing is I went into it with a super bad attitude because that's what I had at that point. I said, I will do this to lose this weight. And if it doesn't help me, I'm done. And I'm not telling people about it because that's like the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Like that's really
negative. Where I think it's recognizing that that's where you were at that point in time. That's where your headspace. That's where you were.
And you know what? When you would have seen me at my jobs or on the street, this is who you would have seen. "Hey, Marsha, how are you? Things are great. I'm so glad, blah, blah, blah." And then behind closed doors, I cried every single day. You just don't know what's going on behind people's doors. And I was a classic example of someone who hid that very well. And so I started a system to completely just lose the weight.
Yep.
And then 2 days later, the weight didn't even matter anymore. Somehow I was completely awake to what life was. And I explain it to people like, I feel like I was walking through the world with the lights off. And on day 2 of doing this system, my lights were turned on. And I laughed. I laughed that day. And Morgan said to me, "I haven't seen this since before you got pregnant." And I was like, I am back. I don't know what this is about, but I'm back. And that is the moment that my body and my soul were totally transformed. But there is, again, more to that transformation for my family. But at that moment, I got my family back. My daughter got her mom back. My husband got his wife back. And so just making that change for myself completely changed everything.
Well, and even at this point, right? I mean, and I've been an advocate for nutrition my entire life, but when you give yourself good, proper nutrition, you are better equipped to see things differently. You are better equipped. I could read and meditate all day long and eat McDonald's and feel like crap. Sorry, McDonald's. And feel like crap. And I might have the tools in order to make a change in my life. But if I don't have good, solid nutrition in the body and how to feed me the way I should, it won't matter what my skills are. So I say it's a big piece of the whole life puzzle. I've always said nutrition is a piece of that life puzzle. I can't do anything if I'm not going to take care of me.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So that's it. That's interesting that you say that. And I just wanted to add, because there was one thing you said there that I just loved, is that, and this is, so I can understand and relate because I've been there many times, but is the fact that until we are actually open to receiving, we don't see what is available. Yeah. And yes, when you put the face on, when you go out and, I worked with clients on a daily basis, loved my clients, loved my training, but to put the face on that life was perfect when I was there and yet come home and feel like I could fall apart every day was exhausting. It was beyond exhausting that I almost got to the point anymore that I was like, I didn't know it was real anymore. And I just was begging to be real somewhere. I just needed that. So, but I wasn't open to receiving. That was the thing. I had to learn how to be open to receive, to see opportunities, to take that in. So that's when a lot of things definitely started to change. So I can completely relate to that as well.
Yes.
So you started to feel better. You decided that, you know what, I do think I want more for my life. And I do think I want to create more for my life. And what happened after that?
So you know what, at that moment, I did not yet realize that. At that moment, I looked at this network marketing company and said, okay, I'm Dutch, so I don't like to pay full price for things. Another thing my adorable dad taught me. And so all I did was I looked at the opportunity to share. And I was told, if you get a couple friends on board with you, you could get a cash rebate. And I thought, I'm going to get 20 people on board with me because I don't ever want to pay for this product, but I'll never go without it. So, there is a part of me, like I have such a heart of service, but there's also a part of me that is driven by money. And I want to explain that because I'm not a selfish person. When I started, I was driven by money to pay for my products, right? So in this company, we get paid every week. And my first week, I had earned a number that was like really comfortable to bring in every week. I thought, wow, this is a huge, and for me, not making a lot of money anyways, I thought this is a lot of money. I can actually quit my serving job, right? Because I had missed, just a side note, I had missed my daughter's first steps because I picked up a Monday night bar shift, hoping to make $40 so I could fill my gas tank. Back when gas was obviously cheap. But, so this paycheck that I got, I thought, wow, this will allow me to stay home in the evenings. So I was so motivated by this. And in my second week, I ended up earning more than I made in 2 weeks at 3 jobs. And that was the moment I was like, so I still had a bit of a bad attitude. I was like, this company has no idea what they're doing. I'm really going to bust my tail and take as much as I can because there's no way that this company is going to be around in 3 months. And I told my husband, I need 90 days to give up prison break. And I'm going to build this because they're not going to last. And he was like, okay. But I decided I got onto a call with somebody and they had said, this is how I started. I went to an event and I said, I will go to an event to open my mind to this because the worst case scenario is that I go and it's not at all what I'm hoping for. I waste half a day, 1 day, whatever. And so I went, and at that event, it blew my mind because I always said to people, oh, I'm a nobody. That was my thing. I'm a nobody. I'm no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of like my funny way of like really saying how I felt about myself. It was sad that I joked about it, but I genuinely thought I was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to this event, and they were presenting, and I'm by myself, and I'm crying, and they're saying, stand up if you earn 6 figures in this business. I'm like, nobody earns 6 figures in this business. Anyways, tons of people stand up, and they say, what did you do as a profession, or what do you still do? And it was like, teacher, police officer, stay-at-home mom, receptionist. I coach basketball. I'm like, what? These people are real people? Because I was expecting like, I fly for NASA. I'm a surgeon. All these, like, I just assumed everyone was like this magical healthcare unicorn or something like that, right? And I went back to my hotel room, and I cried my eyes out, because it was at that moment that I realized that I could be somebody, right? So it was probably like half recognizing that I was part of an amazing opportunity, and half waking up to finally recognize that I was somebody, right? So that was the moment I decided to do this. And I came like, I can't even imagine the text I was sending my husband, but I came home and I was full on 100% committed with 10 out of 10 belief. Mm-hmm. Nobody could tear me down, and nobody can still tear me down. And the funny thing is that I find when you make a decision like that, the universe is going to test you and throw you a little bump in the road. Yeah. So my bump in the road, and I actually like this guy, so I'm not putting out any bad vibes. This guy I worked with, I said, I think I'm going to really give this a go. And he came over to my desk and slapped this piece of paper down and said, nobody makes it in this business. And I have hand-drawn a chart showing you all the steps you're going to take to crash and burn. And I was like, and I mean, you can ask my dad. If there is one thing I'm known for my entire life, if someone tells me I can't do something, I'm doing it. So sure. I'm not going to break any laws, but I'm not going to let anybody tell me how to live my life. So I really went for it. And it was with thanks to this guy as one of my motivators, because I thought, well, give it a shot or work next to this guy the rest of my life. So I gave it a shot, and it was awesome. That's awesome. That one moment of that guy telling me what his fears were, I realized it had nothing to do with me. It was just his fear that I was going to put all my eggs in one basket or something. And he was looking out for me, but that can really derail someone. I could have easily said, oh, you're probably right. Because he said, I know a girl who did that and she didn't make any money. I could have been like, well, I guess nobody makes money. I could have stopped and I could have still been living that life. But I decided to find out for myself. And oh my gosh, can you even imagine?
No, I can't even. I'm only laughing because I can completely understand. I mean, anytime you set the intention that you're going to do something different from what the norm, whatever the norm is, feels you should do, you absolutely get tested. Yeah. You absolutely hit roadblocks. You hit comments. You hit words from people that you think, oh my gosh, like that's pretty nasty, but okay. And it happens. And so, but I think the common denominator there that I think is really important to state is that you were at the 10 out of 10 belief in yourself and where you were going. So it probably didn't matter what anyone said because you were at that space. And I think that sadly, very few people can admit that I don't care if they want to work at McDonald's, but whatever they want to do, that to be in a 10 out of 10 belief, if you can really get there, no one can touch you. Like no one,
exactly. Yeah. And you know what? People still, like, I'm a sensitive person. So when comments come, I am insulted by it in a way, because I would never reach out to someone and say, hey, I see you started a new journey, or, you're going to school for this. I just want to let you know you're making a huge mistake. Who does that?
I don't know. I don't.
So
I don't know. I can't even tell you.
So honestly, like it hurts my feelings, but at the same time, I'm like, well, thank goodness I'm not spending more time with this person, right? Like, so anyways, it still hurts, and it will, those comments will still come, but they will never derail me. They will never. No. Until someone pays my bills, you can't tell me what I can or cannot do.
And if you find somebody that wants to pay your bills, then let me know who they are.
100%. We'll share 100%. Right?
Yeah. You have to learn to know that that's part of the journey, and those people are part of the journey. And the more I have found personally that I continue to put myself out there, I get some amazing messages from people that I'm just like, oh, it touches my heart. And then I get this message out of left field that comes in. It's like, wow, that was not very nice.
Yeah.
But it only has the energy that I give it. And if I look at it and go, you know what? I don't need to respond. I just really don't care. Like I'm sorry that you took that much time to send that message. And I'm sorry that that's where you're at, but it's just not in my plan right now. It's not in my plan. And that is very freeing. And I would wish everyone to be able to be in a sense of self, that they can feel that free, that they're not tied to what someone else thinks or says of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really tough thing, but I really would wish that for people. So you've grown, you've changed. You have a team of how many now?
We're almost at 5,600.
5,600. That's amazing. That's incredible. So I'm assuming you see life very differently now. I'm in a lot of,
Yeah, I see, I just see the way that I look at people. So I always say, when I was in a mall and I saw someone like across the hallway who I went to high school with, I would turn my phone on silent and I'd be like, hello? Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. Oh yeah, no, I can come home. We can talk now. I had a full fake conversation on my phone with nobody, just to avoid possibly talking to somebody who probably doesn't even want to talk to me. And now the way that I look at people is, I look at it like, if I'm praying for an answer or I'm asking the universe to bring good people into my life, then when I look at people, it's either a bunch of friends I have or a bunch of friends I haven't made yet. Right? So much has changed about me. I don't make excuses. Oh my God. So everything has changed about my life. The way that I think, the way that I talk. And I want to throw in there, I had a second baby through this journey. And just because I changed my life doesn't mean that like crazy baby stuff doesn't happen again. That stuff happened again, but I was so well prepared, and I had all the tools of support to reach out to people and the nutrition I was using to make my life a lot easier. And I focused so much on loving myself the second time around that I feel like it made a huge difference, right? So this company and these products have changed my life, but if I never made $1, the person that I have become is like my dream person, right? In the way that sounds really bad. It sounds like silly. I just have so much faith. I have belief. I have love, excitement, joy. I have dreams. I have goals. That is entirely brand new to me. That has all come into my life in the last 4 years. I lived an entire life, 30 years of not having that. And I know that people live more than that. I know that people live
their whole
90 years like that, right? So yeah, so much more has changed. Financially, things have changed for us. I retired from those jobs quite quickly.
Yes, you did.
Again, I think that's like my no BS, no excuse attitude, where I was like, someone said, what are your 30, 60, and 90-day goals? And I said, 30, my 60 was to quit my jobs. And so when I looked, I was like, what am I saying? Like, as it was coming out of my mouth. And I was like, well, that's what it is. So I quit my jobs in 45 days.
That's amazing.
And I just never made an excuse. And I worked harder on myself than anything else because I recognized that comments from other people or their opinions can completely derail a business, can completely derail your life, the things you're doing, the path you're on. So that's what I did. I worked harder on myself than anything else. And because of that, and the support from my husband, it just changed.
It all changed.
But it was a friggin' decision. Mm-hmm. When I look back, it was that exact split second decision that I said, yes, I'm going for it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, yeah, I'll try it out. It was, I'll see how it goes. It was like, I'm doing this. Are you on board or not? And people were like, I am afraid to miss this train. So they were on with me. And sometimes people will ask me, how did you build a team so quickly? And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, just bat crap crazy. Like you
were that committed, and you knew what you wanted to go. And this is the thing is that you might not know exactly how it's all going to come together, how it's all going to fit, but you knew what you didn't want.
Yes.
You knew what you didn't want. You knew you didn't want the way that you were before, how you felt, how you responded, how you were living. You didn't want that. No. So if you don't want that, then you're going to have to do something different in order to create something different.
Exactly.
And I think you had found a vehicle and had decided that, no, this is the way it's going to be.
Yeah, definitely.
So as this very motivational, inspirational person, does Kristie have bad days? And if she does, Kristie, thank you.
Hello.
I know you're human, but just for people who to hear, what happens when you have those days?
When I have those days, I unplug. Awesome. All I do is I had one of those the other day, and I turned off my computer and I wrote a stack of cards to people, just thanking them, pouring greatness into them, pouring love into them. And I went through my address book of people that I didn't always talk to, or that had maybe said something a year ago that I really appreciated, and I let them know. And it brings me right back up. And you know what? Even if I'm in a funk and it doesn't quite get me out of it, that I feel so strongly that the love and the greatness that I send out to people, it started coming back.
Oh yeah.
Right away.
Yep.
Right away. And that lifted me out of my funk. But I know that that's what it is. I know that if I put greatness out there, that it's going to come right back. But I also have I have my person who, when I need to talk about things, he's there, and it's my husband. And I don't know how he's not a Tony Robbins of his own, but he's like, he's so sweet, and he's so shy in a way, but he has the best advice. He always has the right thing to say. But the reason that I talk to him about it is because I don't just call people and vent about my problems.
No.
Why would I do that? Why would I put bad energy out there? So when I'm talking to Morgan, I'm saying, I had a struggle today. This is my challenge today. I'm trying to just unplug and get through it. And then we just talk about it.
Awesome.
Because he's on that same, he had a total shift with himself through those 4 years as well. Mm-hmm. And it was from a negative space to a very, very positive space as well. I blame myself for his negative space because I was the negative in his space. But he just is the greatest. He's the greatest person to talk to. So I have my person, right? And if I need to talk to somebody else, I've got a mentor within the business. I will never go to her to vent unless I'm looking for a solution, because I'm not going to gossip about anybody. So
that's really bad energy that you don't
totally.
Need to put out there. No.
So if I need a solution, then I will say, here's my situation. I'd like to come up with something, really, easy and positive to be able to handle this well. Mm-hmm. And if Morgan doesn't have the answer, or it's a little bit more like detailed in the business relation, then I'll go to my mentor. But
see, that is a major mindset shift there that a lot of people don't do. I mean, we've all had years where we would call girlfriend and bitch forever about something, and we would do, but at the end of the day, I mean, nothing changes, because now I'm just even angrier because I've lived in it, and I'm just continuing to live in it. And I mean, like you, I do have a friend though that I will call and say, okay, I can't pull myself out of this one I don't know why. And it's kind of a rule of if I've been in it for X amount of time, then I need to get out of it. And who can I call to help to pull me back out of that? And sometimes, you know what, I've just learned to chalk it up that it's just an off day. Tomorrow's a new day. What can I do? I probably am lacking in some self-care. I'm probably lacking in some me time, some downtime, filling my cup again, and say, this is the day today, and tomorrow's a brand new day. So
Absolutely.
the old me used to carry that into this, well, it's like Monday and I've wrecked it. We're just going to start next week now. It's a whole different mindset, right? It's a completely different mindset. So you can pull yourself out with just the self-care things that you need to do.
And it really is like when I tell people that I always make a decision, a split-second decision, but I make them all the time, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if it's not like I just decided once and then, I just, breeze through this business or through life. I have to make split-second decisions all the time to check myself before I wreck myself, or, just kind of keep my head on straight or make a positive decision. But if you just understand that your life can change in the split second you decide that it is going to change, it does.
It does.
Right? I put all my faith, and whatever you believe in, if it's God, the universe, or a higher power, I put all my faith in the avenue that I have chosen. And I literally just say, sometimes I yell, and it's so hilarious. I couldn't find my keys the other day. I'm like, universe, find me my keys. And I found them like 2 seconds later. And I was like, wow, thank you. But it's funny because I put so much into it, right? And when I put so much energy into that, things just line up. And it's the same thing you were talking about with gossip. When you talk to someone, you start gossiping, you're getting fired up and you're on the phone and you're pacing and you're like, your heart's racing.
Awful.
Well, what if you take that kind of energy and put it into what you actually want and then watch that magic happen? And it's hilarious. My husband and I have an emoji that we send to each other that is, it's just sort of a symbol that it's a rose. Yeah. And the reason for it is because it's a garden, right? We plant those seeds in our garden and the most beautiful things will grow out of it. So randomly, if I'm feeling like I just need to send him something, I'll send him a rose and just, he knows exactly what that means. That's awesome. Or sometimes he sends it back to me and I take it as a sign that that's exactly what I needed at that exact moment. And when I see that rose, it's another split second decision to get myself into a higher state or into a better position, or so.
Wow. I love that. That's a great idea.
It's pretty awesome.
Definitely might be borrowing that one because I really do like that. I just come to the thing where if I'm having one of those days and, my husband, he's wonderful. And he's like, so what is it? Do you need this? And I'm like, I just need some time. I'll be fine. I'll be fine in a period of time. But you just need sometimes that time to recharge to get on a different path again.
For sure.
So, yeah. What would you say would be some advice for anyone who is struggling in their life? And it doesn't have to be. It can be health. It can be finances. It can be, to me, it's kind of one big bowl. But what would you give as advice to somebody who feels really stuck?
Well, you know what? I know what it feels like to want to make a decision, but literally feel like there's a black shield in front of my face. I know what's on the other side, but I cannot see it. Yeah. And, I know what that's like. Even with knowing how it works, I couldn't see. So what I did was I just reached out to who I needed to reach out to. I'm struggling and I want to get to that point where I can move forward. But you know what? Even that is a decision. I am deciding to reach out so I can get help to move past this big black shield in front of my face. Yeah. Right? So, I don't know. It is a friggin' decision. It is all it is.
Is what I use, the words decision and choice I use all the time. Really? I mean, I might not have the answers, but I know I don't want to be in the same space that I was in. I know I don't want to feel the same way that I was feeling. So it's going to require something else. Do I know exactly what that is yet? Nope. But I can I really can say that the more open I have been, the more amazing people I have met. It's just simple. Have some people left my life because of it? Yeah. And is that okay? Yeah. I'm not even angry anymore because I do believe the right people will eventually be in that line. So I think that it's okay. It's all in how you look at it. So, so there you kind of sum that up, but what mission do you see yourself on now?
I have a mission to free families, and I don't always know what that means, but I know how important it is to have time with family. And I recognize how short life can be. My mom died when I was 11, and I can't remember how old I was when she got sick. I was probably 7 or so, but my daughter is almost 7. Right. And it's little things like that I'm like, man, I will not just go trudging through life, working for somebody else, doing what other people tell me to do in my life. So my mission is to free family, and that means time. I do help people make money. I do help people lose weight or gain weight or whatever it is that they need. But all of that works towards freeing your family, because me gaining that energy from these products that I used helped free my family. The money has helped free my family, right? So for me, my intention is entirely that you get to spend the time that you want with the people you want to spend time with. And guys, that's not always family. I've got a few questionable family members myself, but family is who you make it, right? And I've got some very special friends that I consider family, and I would do anything for them. But to me, it's about a life of giving to people. Not everyone is going to see my vision. They're not always going to believe the mission I'm on. No. But one thing is for sure, they're going to watch me do it. Because I won't stop. And it is entirely about just creating that life, because I'm 35 this year, which is like a great age. But when I look at it, I'm like, almost half my life is already lived. How am I going to spend the rest of it? And so I really want people to look at their own lives like that, right? If I could free up even 1 hour every day, what would I do with it? And for me, it's drive my kids to school, or it's, awesome. It's there's little things. So 100% it's freeing families, and I will never know what that means until I meet the person whose family I'm helping to free, because I don't know where they need me or they need help. So
I think that's awesome, because I think, as you're saying, it's whatever is going to free a family, and that is time, but it's also being in a space to have freedom of choice, right? Freedom of choice of what they want to do. Many people assume that when you get into network marketing that it's about, you must quit your job, you must do this. It's not at all. It's 100%. Are you in a space where you can actually do what you love? And give back in ways that you love. And something that I would say my eyes opened up in the last few years, especially because of the business, is contribution, right? Contribution is a huge thing. And I think that you mentioned that earlier in the call about wanting to be able to show that to your girls, right? Being able to contribute and give back in some way, shape, or form.
Yep, always. We are always showing them how to do good for other people. So giving is a huge deal. Yeah. And it doesn't always take money to give, right? But it does take time to give sometimes, right? And I find that, I can donate, I can give money to somebody, but if I can give my time, we just did
I saw that.
Yeah, we volunteered for Habitat for Humanity in Guelph, and we had a small team there, and we offered 3 hours. And what we had done in those 3 hours had cleared up weeks of what it would have taken them to do, because we had that group giving just 3 hours to an organization that helps people and their families, right? So that's where the time comes in. And I like doing the time even more.
Well, I think that's beautiful, because the one thing about the time and what you're talking about is I keep trying to refer to is the fact that when we can finally see that life is far more than just about us, and it's about what else can we impact and what else can we do and who else can we help. It makes almost any situation more bearable and easier to go through. So even the challenges, I find when I'm in a space that I am stuck, most of the time I'm thinking about myself, or something about me personally, or fear of the future or whatever, like nothing I have any control on. Like it's not, so I need to think outside of myself. And that's one of the things I love about the company is the contribution in giving back to others. Yeah. So last 2 questions that I want to, but before we get to that, where can people connect with you? Where's the best place to find you or to connect?
So I'm always on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how hard it would be to find me, but it's just Kristie Shaver.
Yeah.
This mug is on my profile picture. And then I can put my email out there, I guess. So my email is Kristie@KristieShaver.com. So KRISTIE.
Mm-hmm.
And I am always willing to talk to people. I mean, you never know who you're going to meet in this lifetime, right? So especially Facebook. I do love to follow people on Facebook and see kind of the lives that they portray and learn a little bit more about who they are as people.
Well, and I have to say that I would encourage people to follow you. I love your sense of humor. Absolutely. I can relate 100%. I see it just hilarious. That's you being truly authentic to you, right? And that's what a lot of people don't do on Facebook, is that it's not always real. So I absolutely love that. If you could go back and give a message to your younger self, and you can pick whatever age that is, what message would you give? What message would you give?
I would probably I would tell myself that I'm right, that I am destined for more, because I knew it, and I still know it. I still know that there's something more than what I'm doing. I just don't know what it is yet. So I would just say, you're right.
That's awesome.
And believing, I guess.
Can you see that message, especially with raising young girls now, like the power of that message to young girls, that, you know what, you can do and achieve and go after whatever your goals are. You absolutely can. There's no limits.
Yeah. And you know what I do now too is when I see it's hard for me when I see like little girls, so even like strangers, little girls, and I just want to scream in their face about how beautiful they are. Instead, I will say, you look like you're going to do something really great in this world. What is it you want to do to make a difference? I don't ask them what they want to be when they grow up. I ask them how they want to make a difference in the world, or how they want to help people. And I want to say that more, because
love that.
That's what it is, right? I don't want to say, oh, you look so beautiful in your dress. Even now when Nova says, don't I look cute? I'm like, you look very cute, but it's not about being cute. It's about being kind. Because, you know, like, she's only 6. I'm like, where are we going with this, right?
Yes.
But, you know, there's so much we're here to teach people, and like, we're this big in the grand scheme of things, right?
We are a speck.
So if I can make a difference in just even a space this big, that's what I'm here to do.
That's beautiful. I love that. And my last question for you is, what lesson are you the most grateful for? It can be a lesson, it can be a situation, it can be anything.
What am I most grateful for? A bajillion things, but belief. I think really having belief and faith. You know what? I'm going to change that to just faith. Belief happens, but again, like I said, with God, the universe, or a higher power, if you've got that faith, then it's done, right? You ask for what you want, you believe, and you have faith that it's coming to you, and you just do good until it arrives. So I think that faith is the big thing. Yeah,
that is awesome. Well, this has been fun, and you made me laugh, so thank you so much for that. But I really love diving into your story. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
I don't think so. Okay. I'm a chatty one, so you don't want to get me going with little random things. No, I'm so grateful that you took the time to do this, because I admire everything that you post, everything that you do, Marsha. You get it, and I do learn a lot from you. So you've definitely been someone I've looked up to throughout this journey.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. That really does. I appreciate that. And I am just really grateful that you were here today. I think that you've been able to share a lot of tidbits and a lot of pointers about how you created change in your life. But I really love that it comes down to, you made a decision, you've made choices, and every single time you basically ask yourself, like, is this in alignment with where I'm going to go? I don't have to have it all figured out, but I know where I'm going. I know that's the direction I want to go into. So if I hit a wall, then how do I get around that wall? How do I get through that wall? And it's always about moving forward. And I think that's what people need to know is that when you are on that mission, you get challenges every single day. From the outside, it looks like she's got it all together. She's figured it all out. she's all of these things. And it's like, you know what? No, I just keep going forward and making the decision after decision. And anyone is capable of that. They really, truly are. Even when they're very down and out, they're very capable of that, is making that decision to move forward. So I love that you have highlighted that. And I love that you shared your story. And I'm so thankful that you were here today with me.
Oh, thanks, Marcia.
You're welcome. Have an awesome day. And the recording will be up very soon. Okay?
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, everyone.